aluminum zirconium tetrachlorohydrix gly, triclosan, propylene glycol, fragrance. It's not even an ingredient, it's just a smell. Hello and welcome to the Bee Vlog. I'm your host, Bill. If you're like me and want to reduce your exposure to controversial chemicals that you can't even pronounce and ditch these lousy deodorants, but you can't find a good natural deodorant that does the job, or you just want to save a little money and enjoy the challenge of making things yourself, then maybe you'll want to make your own deodorant. I found a very easy deodorant recipe that I've been using for several months now, and it's been working great for me. In fact, I found that my body has actually responded very well to it. When I use these store-bought brands, they actually make me smell bad now. I don't get that reaction with my homemade deodorant. It lasts all day and I've put it through some pretty strenuous tests. The other nice thing about homemade deodorant is that you can create your own scent. I found that most natural deodorants in the stores are marketed to women, so that doesn't leave me very many options. In this video I'll be creating a scent that I like and doesn't leave me smelling like a flower. The link to the source of this recipe is available in the video description below. There are a lot of really great recipes on this website, so I recommend you go there and see if there's anything else that you might like. This recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of beeswax, 2 tablespoons of baking soda, 2 tablespoons of arrowroot, and then some essential oils for a scent. I like to add a little bit of vitamin E as well. For the scent, I'll be using a 1/4 teaspoon patchouli oil and a little less than a 1/4 teaspoon of pine needle, plus about 4 or 5 drops of cedar wood. I like to work over a piece of parchment paper. That makes it easier to clean up if there are any spills. I mix everything together in a jar. You can see that this is a jar left over from the last time I made it. There's always a little bit of leftover, and it's very difficult to get clean, so it's just a jar that I save for this type of deodorant only. And I stir everything together with a wooden stirring stick. After melting and mixing everything together, you'll want to pour it into some kind of container. Now you can either buy these deodorant tubes new, or you can clean out a used deodorant tube, or you could even pour it into like a muffin pan or something and make a little puck or a deodorant bar. I first measure out all my dry ingredients and set those aside. And then I do the same with my essential oils. That way all of these ingredients are ready to go. Then I shred the wax. Now, when using a grater or a shredder, you'll want it to be something that is only used for wax. So this is a second-hand grater that I bought from Goodwill. I think it cost me about $1. Once you get wax on here, it's pretty much impossible to get it off. So why bother? So I do a coarse shred on it. Once you think you have enough, then I start packing it into the teaspoon. Now this is the tricky bit, because what the wax does is it basically raises the melting temperature of the coconut oil. Coconut oil is solid room temperature, but when it gets just a little bit warmer, it turns liquid. So to prevent it from turning liquid in the tube or under your arm and making it feel oily, the beeswax raises that melting temperature. But you have to get the right amount of wax in it. Too much and the deodorant is too hard and it doesn't really rub on very well and it's abrasive to your armpit, which is not pleasant. And too little and you've just got a melty stick of deodorant. So what I found is if you're using these shreddings, then just do a firm pack into the measuring spoon, but not too tight. It takes a little bit of trial and error. If the first time you make it, If your deodorant is too soft and oily, then you can always just melt it again and add a little bit more beeswax. Or if it comes out too firm, then you can melt it again and add a little bit more oil to adjust it. So I'm not packing it too tight, just getting it in there firmly and even with the top. And then that goes into the jar. And I have to shred a little bit more because I need to get another tablespoon out of it. Then the coconut oil. Then I add just a little bit of vitamin E. Now if your vitamin E comes in little gel capsules, then you'll probably want to use a couple capsules. I use about a dropper full. Then we put this coconut oil, beeswax, and vitamin E mixture into a double boiler to melt it. Now the wax takes a little bit longer to melt than the oil does, so you'll want to make sure that everything is fully melted before adding the dry powders in. Anything that's not melted will float to the top and you'll see little floaters in there. Okay, everything is melted, so I'm going to turn off the heat and leave the jar in there so that it doesn't start to set up while I add the powder. And stir that powder in really well. Make sure there's no chunks. The liquid wax and oil will turn into a milky, creamy color. Then we can add in the essential oils. The final bit is to pour it into the deodorant tube. And pour it until it just almost overflows. And let that set up. It's going to take a few hours, and then it's ready to use. When it sets, it shrinks a little bit, so you'll get a little bit of a divot right in the center. But when it's finished, it should be firm but smooth to the touch, and you should be able to pick some up very easily so that when applying it, it doesn't feel rough or irritate your armpits. And it should only take, a little bit. Don't have to apply a lot. Bro Spice deodorant. More like deodor can't. You've been hazed.